Welcome back to LatiNation. I'm your host, Humberto Guida. For several years, Nalleli Cobo lived near a large oil well. Many of the fracking wells in Southern California are located in low-income Latino neighborhoods. Now, fracking is a nickname for hydraulic fracturing, basically getting oil and gas out of deep wells using a lot of chemicals. It's been accused of causing a variety of health and environmental problems, and young Nalleli didn't just accept it. Instead, she joined community efforts to fight fracking. In fact, this teenager from South Los Angeles is now one of the many faces of the fracking debate, and we join her fight right here on LatiNation.
My name is Nalleli Cobo. I'm from South Los Angeles, and I'm currently a junior in high school. I grew up across the street from an oil well that was exposing toxic emissions that made not only me, but the rest of my community sick. So in my personal experience, I had frequent headaches, frequent stomach pains, frequent nosebleeds. I got body spasms that got to the point where I couldn't walk. I had to be carried from one place to another. I had heart palpitations, and I had to use a heart monitor for several weeks. And I developed asthma, and that's something I'm always going to have to live with now.
Well, I'm 15 years old, and I have been in the fight against urban oil wells since I was 9.
I was always really healthy girl, and all of a sudden when I reached around the age of 9, it was always having these doctor appointments, and then that's when we noticed that there was something in our community. We noticed these weird smells going on, and that's when we connected it with the oil well. I remember my mom said, "Oh, we live next to an oil well. I don't know if that can have anything to do with her being so sick." And the doctor looked at my mom and said, "You guys need to move." Unfortunately, it's not that simple. And it's definitely not the answer. I always ask people like what they believe belongs in a community. They always say the parks, fresh water, affordable housing, community gardens. Nobody ever says oil well, and unfortunately, it's the reality for many Angelinos.
People are fighting for environmental justice. This problem, unfortunately, isn't a national problem. It is a worldwide problem.
So when I first went into the plant, the doors, they had these big doors and they were always closed. And I was walking home from school with my mom, and the doors were open, and we just looked at each other and we both ran inside. We didn't even talk or nothing, just look and ran. When we went inside, we were greeted by a worker. He asked us what we were doing there. We said that we just wanted to know what was hiding behind these big walls. He was super friendly. He gave us an entire tour of the facility. He took us underground where they have the barrels of oil, and he started opening these pipes and like things, and he told us that he had to do that every 10 to 15 minutes to release pressure to prevent an explosion. And I remember being so scared that if this man took a nap and overslept, my community would be gone in a matter of seconds.
As a community, we managed to shut down Nalleli temporarily, but this does not mean our job is done. We are still fighting to shut it down permanently.
The LA Times heard about my community, and they wrote a story about us, which captured the attention of Senator Barbara Boxer. So she flew out, and we had a press conference together in front of Allengo, and she pleaded them to shut down, and they did so on good terms. So because they had violations and such, they have to pay $1.25 million in fines and install state-of-the-art health and safety monitor before they can reopen. And that money will be used to fund research on how people's health is affected by oil drilling. As a junior, I'm taking AP Environmental Science, and I had a project on environmental justice not too long ago. And it talked that a lot of these oil wells are in low-income communities because low-income communities don't have access to the right education that can tell them about their rights or tell them that health impacts that they suffer from these emissions. So it's definitely something, since we don't have the money and stuff like that, so it is something that is completely unfair.